At the beginning of the story, we see people in a small American town having a picnic by the riverside. But then, suddenly, a boat with no one on board drifted toward them on the river. But what they found inside the boat left them shocked. Inside the boat was a badly decomposed dead body. The body was in extremely terrible condition. Soon, the local police chief, John Hawkins, arrived at the scene. Before Hawkins got there, forensic officer Connie had already arrived. She told Hawkins that the dead body was in very bad shape and that there were no bones left in the body, only flesh remained. This was a very strange case. It seemed as if someone had removed the bones, which is generally considered impossible to do. The body was sent for post-mortem examination. A doctor named Jacob examined the body. After a thorough investigation, Jacob told Hawkins that it really did seem as if someone had very carefully removed all the bones. But the thing to ponder is, how could someone have done this? Jacob also found an insect inside the body that resembled a bee. Jacob had sealed this insect inside a jar. Hawkins gave Connie a jar so that it could be kept safely. It might serve as evidence and help determine the cause of death. Soon, Connie found out the name of this man. This man's name was Dr. Cole Parsons. He was a scientist who had moved here about a year ago. They found this man's wallet and some belongings right there on the boat. He used to be a professor at a university, but then he left everything behind and went to live alone by the river, deep in the forest. To properly investigate this case, Hawkins would have to go to that man's house. After this, we see a girl named Meg, who is Hawkins' ex-girlfriend. Meg used to work as a guide in the forest for the police. Hawkins met Meg and told her everything about the case. Meg knew that scientist. About a year ago, Meg had even helped that scientist bring in some of his belongings. She knew that this scientist was working on some experiment, but she didn't know much about the experiment itself. Hawkins asked Meg to come along with him so that they could investigate the case thoroughly, and Meg immediately agreed. Hawkins also asked Jacob to come along. Before setting out on this investigation, Hawkins gathered some information, and that's when he received another disturbing piece of news. That scientist had a young daughter who had disappeared about a year ago, and no one had been able to find her to this day. The very next day, Hawkins, Meg, and Jacob packed all their things and set off towards the dense forest. Part of this journey would have to be made by boat so they could reach the scientist's cabin. While they were on their way, Connie suddenly called. Connie said that the worm found in the man's body had died yesterday, but today it had come back to life. Connie asked if she should send the worm to the lab for examination, but Hawkins said to wait for his return. Connie also mentioned that when the scientist's daughter went missing, his wife's mental health deteriorated and she had to be hospitalized for 3 months. She kept blaming her husband for their daughter's disappearance. As night fell, Hawkins, Meg, and Jacob reached their destination. The beautiful house that once stood by the riverside had now turned into a lonely, eerie cabin. No one comes or goes there anymore. There is no maintenance of any kind. Meg was very saddened to see this because when she had come here a year ago, this place was beautiful. Hawkins told Meg and Jacob to wait outside, and he went in first to check if there was any danger inside. He also called out in case someone was inside, but the place was completely wrecked. All the belongings and furniture were scattered everywhere, and it was obvious just by looking that no one had lived there for a long time. When Hawkins started searching the place, he found some strange things. For example, the ceiling was moving in a strange way. Looking at it, it seemed as if it was alive. Soon, Hawkins found a room whose door was very securely locked. He didn't open the door just yet and went outside to call Meg and Jacob. It was already very late at night, so they thought it wouldn't be right to go back into the forest. They decided to stay here for the night. But the atmosphere of this place was very strange and frightening. Even while walking around the house, strange and scary sounds echoed. Hawkins said there was nothing to be afraid of. He said these sounds must be coming from some rat or raccoon. But in reality, the tension kept increasing. Suddenly, the lights in the cabin started flickering, making the place feel even stranger and scarier. Soon, they spotted a basement door. They thought that since they wouldn't be able to sleep here anyway, they might as well do a little investigating. Down in the basement, they found a large electricity generating machine. This strange machine looked like a big industrial charger. They couldn't quite figure out what exactly this machine was supposed to do, but the machine seemed very powerful and dangerous. In the research Hawkins had done before coming here, there was also mention of such a machine. While investigating the kitchen of this house, they discovered that some wires were running upward from the kitchen cupboard. The three of them guessed that whatever machine was present in this house must be in the room upstairs. Anyway, the room that Hawkins had previously found locked opened on its own. Hawkins called his friends and all three of them went inside. Strange photos were hanging on the walls and mysterious symbols related to occult rituals were drawn there. But there were also some things related to science. It seemed like a mixture of science and black magic. Some of the photos there were extremely horrifying. They were still investigating when suddenly a spider bit Jacob on the face. Frightened and panicked, Jacob ran out of the room. Hawkins called Connie and told her to find out who built this strange house. But due to the electromagnetic radiation coming from the roof, her phone signal was lost. Meanwhile, there was also some tension between Jacob and Hawkins regarding Meg. Actually, before Hawkins, Meg was Jacob's girlfriend, and even now, he still loved her somewhere deep down. Because of this, things became a bit awkward between the three of them. As they were getting ready to sleep, Hawkins suggested that all three of them should stay in the same room so that if any danger arose, they could face it together. But Meg said, "Look, I need my own room. I can't adjust with you guys." At night, Jacob became very ill. Perhaps because of that spider bite, no one was able to sleep properly. Meg came into Hawkins' room because she felt that there was some very evil force in this place. Although she had spent many nights alone in the jungle before, the feeling of this place was somehow different. There is some very evil demonic force present here. In the course of conversation, the two grew closer and intimacy began to develop between them. Just then, we see that a ladder descended from the ceiling on its own. Jacob's condition was going from bad to worse. It seemed as if he was no longer in control of himself. Suddenly, there was a sound from outside. Meg and Hawkins quickly got dressed. When they grabbed their weapons and went outside, they found a woman standing in front of them, pointing a gun at them. This woman was none other than Linda, Dr. Cole Parsons' wife, who had come here searching for her missing husband. Hawkins explained to her that he was a police officer and that her husband's dead body had been found by the riverbank. Linda realized that these people wouldn't harm her, so she lowered her gun. While they were talking, Meg went to the basement to find a way to restore the cabin's electricity. Just then, we saw a creepy shadow of a little girl there following Meg. Meg found a doll there, which she decided to keep with her. At that moment, Hawkins noticed that Jacob was missing, so he went outside to look for him. When they went outside, they heard some strange noises coming from the room upstairs. Hawkins, Meg, and Linda started heading towards the attic and saw that Jacob was trapped inside a bizarre machine. They pulled Jacob out, but it seemed as if Jacob was no longer himself. He looked completely lost. During this incident, Linda heard the voice of her lost daughter, who was calling out to her mother from the room upstairs. After getting Jacob out of the machine, Hawkins and the others questioned him about how the machine had started and what he was doing in the room upstairs. Poor Jacob looked frightened and weak. He kept repeating that he didn't know how all this happened. Linda stood in front of the machine, looking at it a bit nervously. Meg came over and asked Linda if she had any idea what this machine was. Linda explained that it was an electromagnetic machine used to create a very powerful magnetic field. She warned that this machine is extremely dangerous and deadly for humans. Hawkins took Linda to the room where those strange photos were stuck on the walls. Seeing all this, Linda became even more nervous. She has been with her husband for 10 years and knows very well that this is not his doing at all. She said with complete confidence that this is definitely not her husband's doing. Now she was afraid that perhaps some extremely terrifying thing had taken control of her husband. Just then, Hawkins found a laptop there that was password protected, but he couldn't open it. He asked Linda to help him unlock the password. Before they could do anything, they saw Cole standing outside the house through the window, alive and perfectly fine. Startled, they rushed outside and realized that this was no illusion. Cole was actually alive. In anger, Linda slapped Cole hard, but Cole didn't say anything back. He said, "Your anger is justified. Hit me if you want." Everyone went inside and sat down calmly. Hawkins asked Cole where he had been all this time and what had happened here. Why is the house in this condition? He also told Cole about the dead body found in the boat near the river. Cole just laughed off all these questions. He didn't give a straight answer to any questions about the machine. At the police station, Connie was constantly trying to contact Hawkins. The fly that was found in the corpse had not only come back to life, but had now turned into 2 flies. Cole's machine could be the reason for this. Meanwhile, we see that Jacob's condition was going from bad to worse. Terrifying changes had started to occur in his body. New nails began to grow over his old ones. Soon, new teeth and even new bones started growing over the old ones. He was changing at a very rapid pace. All of this was probably happening because of the radiation from that machine. Hawkins asked Cole a lot of questions, but Cole didn't give any proper answers. Even when Linda asked him where he had gone, he didn't give any satisfactory answer. And on the other hand, Jacob was obeying Cole as if he were his servant. When Linda went to check on Jacob's condition, she was terrified to see how much his body had changed. She immediately went to tell Hawkins and Meg. Seeing such a horrifying change in Jacob's body, they realized they needed to get out of there as soon as possible. When they went outside, they saw that the boat they had come in was now gone. Hawkins now became even more suspicious of Cole. But Cole was still taking all of this as a joke. Hawkins lost his temper in anger. He punched Cole hard and tied him up so he wouldn't cause any more trouble. Linda suggested that they should search around a bit. There must be someone around here who can help us get out of here. Hawkins and Meg left to look for people nearby. They soon reached a campsite where there was a lot of stuff lying around. There were also places to eat and stay, but inside this camp, there were many rotting dead bodies, and seeing them, both of them immediately ran away from there. Seeing this disgusting scene, Meg started vomiting. Hawkins tried to calm her down, but at that moment, Meg, overcome with emotion, said, "I'm pregnant and it's your baby." At this time, Linda was alone in the cabin with Cole. When Linda started piecing together the truth, she realized that Cole had hidden many facts from everyone. She entered Tinkerbell as the password on Cole's laptop and it unlocked immediately. Actually, Cole used to call her by that name before. After a bit of searching, she found some disturbing videos on the laptop in which Cole had experimented on several people. Every person who went through that machine came out with an evil force inside them, as if some dark power had taken control of them. Linda also found out that Cole himself had gone through this machine, and the body found by the riverbank was indeed Cole's. The Cole standing before them now was not her husband, but a vicious monster created by the machine. In these videos, she also saw that Cole had sacrificed his own daughter in this gruesome experiment. Meanwhile, Cole locked Linda in that room so she wouldn't interfere with his work. When Hawkins and Meg returned, they saw that Cole had disappeared from there. Hawkins told Meg to wait outside so he could go in and check if there was any danger. He picked up his gun and went inside. Jacob's body suddenly started to open up from the inside and a dangerous creature emerged from his remains, which immediately attacked Hawkins. Hawkins fought the monster with all his strength. Just then, Meg came inside and shot the monster, killing it. Seeing this horrific scene, Hawkins decided that they had to destroy the machine to put an end to this madness. He sent Meg outside for her safety and began preparing to burn the machine. For this, he used petrol and homemade bombs. Soon, Linda came out of the room holding an axe in her hand. She wanted to finish Cole at any cost. When she reached the basement, she saw her daughter going inside the machine. Overcome with emotion, Linda also went inside the machine and fell victim to this dangerous force. Outside, the people who had fallen prey this month began moving toward the cabin from various parts of the forest. Meg kept killing as many people as she could, but it was no use because these strange people from the forest started coming out in even greater numbers. Meanwhile, in the basement, Hawkins found some petrol and picked it up to take it to the room upstairs. By now, Linda's body had also changed quite a lot. Because of this, Meg was forced to shoot and finish her off as well. A scuffle broke out between Hawkins and Cole in the upstairs room. Cole bit off 2 of Hawkins' fingers with his mouth. Hawkins smashed Cole's head with an iron rod. Seizing the opportunity, Hawkins set the machine on fire. The fire started spreading very quickly, so Hawkins shouted at Meg to get out. Meg went outside, but Cole got up again and grabbed Hawkins so he couldn't escape. A huge explosion blew up the entire house and destroyed everything. But in trying to stop him, Hawkins sacrificed his own life. Now Meg was left all alone, and seeing attacks coming at her from all sides, she was left numb. 8 months later, we see that Meg is perfectly fine at home. Connie came to her to give her some of Hawkins' belongings. As soon as Connie left, after giving her the things, she burned all of it. After this, we saw Meg's decayed body lying under a tree. This reveals that the real Meg is actually dead. This is an imposter created by the machine, and it's certain that the child in her womb won't be ordinary either.